Good evening, lacrosse community. My name's Ryan Berns. I'm the president of the Lacrosse Leadership Institute. It's our mission to empower all those that love lacrosse, to recognize the skills that you gain from the sport, to use it in the real world, and use it to live the life that you want to live. I'm so excited for our guest today, Lia Willis. She's a current Arizona State University women's lacrosse player, inaugurated the team, and she's going to share all about her story with lacrosse and her journey throughout the sport. Lia, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you start by sharing with our community how you got involved in lacrosse in the first place?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me. Really excited to be here. I first started playing lacrosse when I was in the 5th grade, like in the 4th, beginning of 5th, and I played because my brother did. So they didn't have a girls team yet. Title IX just happened, so my community just got a girls team, but I would go to his practices and try to participate in like the suicides. And my dad's just like, just throw in, just go for it. But prior to lacrosse, I played soccer all the time. Like I love soccer, but lacrosse came into my life and that was it for me.
Well, that's so fun that you were able to join a sport with your brother. And I know soccer is such a foundational sport as well in terms of getting you moving around, but I just think about the times with my sister and running around in the backyard and you just got thrown right in it. One of the questions I love to ask is, what are some of your pinnacle lacrosse moments, or what is your pinnacle lacrosse moment so far?
Well, I'd have to say finding what school I wanted to go to was pretty up there. It was a good decision for me. I love ASU. I love my decision still. But one of the highlights of my lacrosse career, I'd say, is actually the image that my teammate drew of me. It was the Cal game. It was our home game, and I think that goal I scored was tied. Like we tied. But when I first started playing, I was a midi just because I run. But when I transitioned to a new club team, there was a lot of minis. Like I was kind of terrified. So me and my friend tried out together, but our groups got split up. And so she went a different way and I went a different way, and everyone was playing midi. So I started to play defense. And I became like scared to try out for the midi position. So I tried out for defense and I made defense position. So I got recruited for defense, and now my position is totally different in college. I would always transition the ball, but I'd get all the way down there and I just wouldn't take the shot. I just didn't have enough confidence, didn't feel like I could do it, didn't want to disappoint anybody. But that image, that picture is just like, I finally did it. Like, here's my shot, here's my goal. And it created a beautiful image and a beautiful memory for me.
Unbelievable. I think that's such a big thing. As a defensive player myself, going over the field, oftentimes you are told to pass the ball, but whenever you get the goal, it's such a great thing to accomplish. And the fact that that picture is created as well is so big. I do want to piggyback to that and probably later in the conversation. Mm-hmm. But the first thing I want to ask is the third question I always ask everyone, and that's the premise of this. And it's, what does leadership mean to you?
I would say not being afraid to learn and show other people that, as a leader, you do mess up, but you still have so many opportunities to learn from everything in life. And that just because you're looked up to doesn't mean you can't fail, and that you have to be perfect. So I'd also say that just leading by example, like mean what you say, do what you say, and follow your own rules. You don't have to be the loudest to be a leader either.
Absolutely. I love the idea of leading by example, and that servant leadership ultimately is something that comes up a lot. One of the things, though, that I've heard you speak about in the past is controlling what you can control and controlling your locker room. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about controlling or making a difference in your own locker room?
Well, everyone has different perspectives and they're raised differently, but I actually got that from my coach. That was our goal with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and just educating the people that I play with about me and my community. So it's like, you can't preach to everybody. Not everyone's going to see your side. Not everyone's going to want to hear what you want to say, but we can control in small groups what we can. So try to impact my locker room in the best way and positive way that I can, and just be a good leader.
I love the idea of having that positive impact and being there for the community, sharing perspective. And I think that leads well to the next question, and it's, what does lacrosse mean to you in your life?
Lacrosse, I try not to think like too big about it. Like, it's a game I love. You just love the game. You just play because you love it. You're not thinking about what you have on, like what you look like. You're here to play because the person next to you loves it, and you guys have the same goal to win. So lacrosse has taught me a lot, though. Just our core values, even as a team, like we over me, compete every day, and just love the sport.
Can you repeat those core values and talk a little bit more about them? I think they're so important. When we spoke with Cross, it just blew me away, and I'd love to hear your perspective on it as well.
Like we over me, it's like you do what's best for the team, not just yourself. But at the same time, if like you have an injury or like you need to put yourself first in a situation that can benefit the team, you need to do that as well. And then just love the game. Don't think too hard. Don't, just, you started to play lacrosse because you love lacrosse. It's not a chore. Just love the game. And then compete every day, because every day is game day. So just compete every day.
I think that's absolutely amazing that you all, it sounds like you all embrace it. Would you say that that's the camaraderie on the team, or is it just from the captains? How does that flow amongst a program like a Division I program like Arizona State University?
We do those three things every day as a whole team. Not one person doesn't want to be on the field. Not one person doesn't want to compete right now, where this is November and we compete maroon and gold. So it's a whole competition month.
What are some of the competitions that you're doing?
We have a scrimmage every Saturday, and then we compete in the weight room, in the classroom, and on the field. So like we'll do like sevens as a competition. We have a drill called Ring of Fire. That's pretty hype. It's just, you have to be there for that. You have to see it. But the Saturday scrimmage is really fun as well.
That is so cool. Is that something new that you all started, or have you been doing this the entire time? And maybe could you share a little bit about how it is to actually inaugurate a Division I team, and then how you've seen it change since the first year?
Well, the month of November, we got that from our coach, Tim. He used to do that at his school. So he brought it to us, and it's just going to be a tradition that we keep in this program and just continue it. So, and then Inauguration starting a team, it was different. When I first heard ASU was starting a team, I was like, okay, I'm going to look it up. And then all I saw was like results of the club team, and I was just like, But then like, I thought about how this would be a good challenge and I'd have a chance to leave a legacy. So I was excited.
That gave me a little bit of chills right there about leaving a legacy, since that is something that's so important in a lot of people's lives, and it sounds like it's important to you as well. What would you say is your biggest focus in life right now in terms of goal setting, lacrosse, just in general?
That's a good question. In life, just trying to stay positive, just control the things I can. Supposed to be graduating in 2021, so starting to look at like life beyond college. I kind of want to go for my master's. Lacrosse, just have fun every day, because with Corona, we didn't know that would just get taken from us so quick. So I just try to have fun and be positive every day, because at that point, you never know when something can just be taken from you.
I think that's a big thing to look at in terms of life, because there's a lot of us are going through this time. Not everyone gets the opportunity to play right now. And it's awesome that you all are able to compete every day, be that environment, and show up. But I know there's a lot of other programs, and maybe it's middle schools, high school girls, they're wondering how they can play or how they can make a difference. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about your story, Lia, in terms of how you ultimately developed yourself, how you were able to choose a Division I program, or how you chose a college in the first place. That way, for the families that we're connected with, they can start sharing this with their siblings, their sisters, so that they have an idea or a roadmap, if you will, of how to play lacrosse at the next level.
I would say it's like how to get to the next level.
More of, do you mind sharing what lacrosse ultimately starts? So I know it started with your brothers playing and you kind of jumped in. You mentioned that you and your friends started trying out. Was that for the travel team or was that for normal team? Will you talk a little bit more about that, please?
Okay, so
and I know I'm putting you on the spot, so thank you.
I started playing, like I said, in 5th grade, but there really wasn't a lot in my area. So like I'm from Waldorf, Maryland, but I had to travel to Annapolis to get a higher level of play to find a club team. So I would just say stick with it because it depends on where you are. Like lacrosse still isn't that big. So if you want to play, there's definitely ways you can play. And I traveled an hour and 30 minutes every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with my friend to practice. And then luckily living on the East Coast, a lot of the tournaments were on the East Coast. A lot of my teammates at ASU are from everywhere, people from California, Kansas, like everywhere. So I felt a little lucky when they started telling stories about going to Richmond when it was only like 3 hours away and they had to get on a plane. But I would just say stick with it. Like there's so many opportunities. And for Division I, you don't have to go to a big school. You don't. I had other offers from smaller schools closer to home, but my parents were like, it's a state distance, like get out, go away. But I'm the youngest, so I went the farthest, but I'd say just stick with it.
And I appreciate you sharing the commitment that you had to the sport. Driving in an hour and a half, is that both ways or in total time is an hour and a half?
I think both, because we would leave after school and then come home and the sun would be setting. And sometimes we'd switch, so I drive there, she drive back.
That's so amazing. I mean, that's what shows it in my eyes, and I'm sure coaches' eyes, your commitment to play with sport first and foremost and commitment to excellence. Do you see yourself putting in extra work or extra time? How do you lead by example with your team right now?
Well, so we'll show up earlier to practice and we'll shoot on the cage or we'll pass and work on like different things we've practiced in practice to get better at them so you can perform them in practice. But last year when we first started and had a locker room, we would all do wall ball every day before practice. And it was like everybody would get it in before they had their training or even after the training room before we went to the field. So you warm up your stick before you get to practice.
That is really big just for me because I was coaching yesterday and the guys they're saying, Coach, we use warm-ups as a time to get ready and get into practice. And I think we've got an hour and a half with each other. You guys should be ready to go.
Yeah.
Just from that initial moment. And it takes some extra work like you discussed, but it's cool to see that you were doing that. And then to jump back to your high school experience and travel across, it sounds like you were going to different tournaments and you started talking with coaches, or how did you ultimately build relationships with these different schools and decide how to build a group of schools to contact in the first place?
Well, so it's kind of stressful. So you go to the tournament and you'd see the college coaches sitting on the sideline and you're like, oh my gosh, like I emailed her saying that I was going to be here at this time on this field. So like you get nervous, but just try to stay composed and, control what you can and play your best game. But you would email saying that you were going to be at this field at this time, what tournament you were going to be competing in and where. So after you did that, they would go through a recruiting coordinator and they'd reach out to you. And it was, yeah.
How did you decide which coaches to email initially?
So I don't know, that's a good question. Well, at first I was just going to try to stay closer to home. So I was thinking of like schools around where I lived and the ones that would reach out to me. So at first I was looking at schools in Philly and like Pittsburgh. And then I went to, I think, the Florida tournament. I forgot what it's called, at the ESPN fields.
Uh,
And that's when I got my first email from an ASU coach. And I was just like, wow, what? ASU, like Arizona? So of course I emailed her back. I was like, hi, I'm Lia Willis. Like, I'm interested. And here I am at ASU.
So it sounds like you were focusing more on the local communities at first in the colleges, and then you received some emails from different colleges just because your information was through the tournaments that you went and attended.
Yeah, but ASU was the furthest one away from home. I was never thinking about coming this far away, but I initially wanted to stay closer to home because my brother is, he's in Georgia, but like I just wanted to be around.
I can understand that as one of the athletes that's pretty far from home. How do you overcome homesickness or not having your family close by? Do you feel comfortable, or what are some of the tricks that you have for some girls that are deciding if they want to play in another state that's pretty far away, but that could be something that hangs them up? What advice do you have for them?
I would say trust yourself. Like you have to, fall to figure it out. Mom's always going to be there with the ice and the Band-Aids. So she's only a phone call away. She tells me every game that she's looking at flights just in case something, bad happens. I hurt myself or something like that, but just know you'll see them again. Also, FaceTime has been the favorite thing during COVID. So I FaceTime all of my family members. We'll do a great group FaceTime, and you have family. You make I have a whole 47 girls and 3 coaches that I can talk to about anything, and a whole staff, like through ASU athletics, that I can talk to if I need anything. So you're not alone. You do have resources and roommates and teammates. So.
Did you realize that you'd have that when you were making the decision to go to ASU?
I did, but at the same time, I've always been busy. So like out of all my siblings, I'm okay with going far away. I'm okay with just figuring it out. Like my brother, my sister, they're closer to home, but I don't have a problem with, oh, can't do that. Won't do that next time because it ended up like this, or I will, because like grocery shopping was one of the hardest things, but I figured that out. So I would just say, just know that you have the strength and the tools to figure it out because your parents have prepared you more than you think.
I think that's so big to trust your gut first and foremost, figure it out as well. I think that's an opportunity of collegiate sports. You go and you're thrown into an environment that you don't have control over necessarily or think you do, but there are aspects that you get to control. Your life is pretty structured in terms of what you're doing, and I think that helps keep you on the right path at the end of the day. You said you're competing for grades in the weight room. You have to stay healthy, and you have some sort of direction or guardrails, if you will. And ultimately, it sounds like you're deciding to get a master's degree. Is that what you've decided on, or what are some of the things that you're thinking about in terms of post-college?
Well, I do want to get my master's. I've decided that I want to get that regardless. Yeah, even though school, but I decided I want to do it. I can push through. But what does it help me decide that?
More of, with that goal, has lacrosse and sports helped you get there, or where are you going to go from there? So you're getting a master's degree. What does your vision for yourself look like moving forward?
Lacrosse has definitely pushed me to want to get my master's. Just having a routine every day around the sport and even the weight room, and we compete. Like I said, I just want to do well. So it's helped me stay focused, if anything. So it's like, oh, if I know I can do this and juggle all these other things, what's stopping me from getting my master's? And so what is it, 15 first semester, 15 the next semester? I can knock that out. So it's just helping me be more focused and driven, because if I can do this, I can do that and so much more. And then after lacrosse, I still haven't put my finger on exactly what it is I want to do yet. So you really put me on the spot.
Well, we know you'll figure it out. I think you brought up a few big points, though. You're juggling a lot of things, and you said, if you can do this, you can do the next step. And that's something that comes up time and time again with everyone that I've spoken to. It's just the fact that you place yourself in the moment, the present is the most difficult moment you're ever going to be in until you get to that next moment. But because of that foundation you lay down, you have the opportunity to grow and get better and better. So though you may not have it all figured out right now, Lia, it's awesome at least that you have that next step in mind. And I'm sure you'll be able to speak with the different resources through ASU and career services to understand what that can look like. One of the next questions, though, that I have for you, Lia, is going a little bit towards giving back. You talked about a legacy before and being one of the first women at ASU and creating that team. You're doing some coaching right now as well, is that right?
No, not coaching, not yet.
You're not coaching any for like your club team or anything like that, or have you done any coaching in the past?
This summer I did coaching for my old coach, her C2 team in Baltimore. People have been reaching out to me to be what's the word? A mentor for younger girls going into college. So I'm looking at giving back, especially in my community, to just let people know you're comfortable, it's okay. And I can hear and answer any questions because I've been through 4 years. So.
And so what does that look like? Is it just emails back and forth with these high schoolers, or how is this mentorship or coaching of the travel team been?
Oh, the coaching of the travel team, that was, it was nice. I had a different perspective. The kids were younger. So we had like fifth grade to seniors in high school. So some of them were going off and figuring out where they wanted to be. And then younger kids who trying to figure out if they liked this sport and if they wanted to play. And I had the opportunity to say what school I went to and where I'm from and, how far I drive to come to practice. But there was a little girl, my coach was telling me like this was like at the height of the movement, and she felt uncomfortable. She was telling her parents that she felt uncomfortable because no one else looked like her. And that is what made me want to come to practice every day, because I was like, I look like you. I'm at this level, and you can do and be whatever you want to be, no matter what. And I loved helping her at practice, just talking to her, playing with them. All of it was fun. It brought me back to being little. So I want to be able to be a person people younger than me that look like me can look up to and say, that's cool, I want to be like that.
I absolutely love that, Lia. I think that's a big thing, to give others the possibility of playing at the high level, sharing your perspective and your experience, because I can only imagine it's scary. I think I've heard some of your stories about when you were going through those summer camps and how it was for you. I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that and share a little bit more of your story.
Well, yeah, going to the like showcases, like the little like overnight camps and stuff, it was different because it was just me. So I had my friend that I'd come with, but if I didn't go with her, it was like hard for me because everyone already came in like a little posse. So it was like they already knew how each other played and trying to make each other look good. And I was just trying to play as well and just fit in and, get the same exposure. But it was hard, like, questions about hair and, just things like that. And it was just difficult unless I went with someone I knew. But just going in by myself was hard because it's like everyone around you they don't look like you. They don't know what you're thinking. And a lot of it, I thought maybe I was just overthinking myself. Like maybe we're all just here to play lacrosse because we like lacrosse. But then the questions arrives and I'm just like, this is uncomfortable. But that also gave me the perspective of, if I can get through this and still come out on top, I know people younger than me can look up to me and say, if she can get through this and still come out on top, I can do the same thing. As well as just letting other people know that it's okay to play. It's okay to just do what you want to do, no matter your skin color, hair, all of that. Just love the sport, love the game.
I can tell your passion, Lia, and the fact that you do want to continue to be that role model for those younger than you, which is absolutely amazing. Is there anything else that you want to focus on or that we can help you accomplish right now?
I don't know. I think that would be the top one. Just having someone you can look up to. Because I remember my friend, when she made that post, I forgot I even said this. We had a whole Zoom meeting with our team, and I said, like, you know, when I was little, there was really no one in the lacrosse world I could be like, I want to be like her. And she looked like me. And if I could make that path, I know people younger than me could do it too. So I think that's one thing that I would try to keep saying, but stay on.
Well, you're leading from the front right now, Lia. You're definitely leaving a legacy behind you. And I think there's a lot of girls in the Valley and around the country that can look at you. That it's a great picture, but what you've shared today is just so powerful. The leadership that you exhibit, putting we over me and controlling your locker room is absolutely amazing. And we want to make sure that if there's anyone that can connect with you, we're going to push them your way. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think we can help facilitate that.
Awesome.
Lia, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it so much. We really appreciate you being at ASU and being a part of our community as well.
Thank you. Go Devils.